How's it going again, YouTube? We are going to be talking about the Chevstang. There it is. Obviously the Mustang is not running right now. The engine is out of it, and we had to rebuild it because it lost a piston. The piston actually melted, and we had to rebuild it. But I figured I would make a video on what the car has into it so far, via parts and money. So like what parts I have into it and all that kind of stuff. Even though I kind of covered 99% of this already, I know a lot of you don't watch all of my videos, so this is definitely a good video to help out some of you that want to know what parts are in the Chevstang. That CRX engine bay turned out great. Super smooth finish, looks awesome. This is a 5.3 liter LS engine out of a 2006 Avalanche, I believe. It could be a Silverado or something too. I'm not 100% sure what it came out of, but it's a Gen 4 5.3 that I bought it for $100. I put a sloppy stage 2 camshaft in it, which is the 228-230 Jegs camshaft. It has factory lifters, factory pistons, factory rods, factory head studs or head bolts, whatever, and then in the cylinder heads they're factory whatever these truck heads came with, and all I did was install pack 1218 valve springs, and that's really it for the engine. That's all I've done to it, and it works great and goes pretty much 9 seconds in the quarter mile. Now to put that LS engine into my Fox Body Mustang, I used the Dirty Dingo swap mounts, which is pretty much just a plate that bolts to the motor, and then it's adjustable forward and backward, so wherever you need to put it, you can kind of use these mounts, and they work out great. To put onto the Dirty Dingo mounts, you need to use factory 4.6 Mustang mounts. So these are off of like a 96, 97 Mustang, I believe. Not 100% sure, but they're 4.6 engine mounts from a Mustang 4.6 liter. I also, back here, I have a Turbo 400 transmission that goes behind the 5.3, and that is, it's semi-built. It's got the big Sprague clutch, and, just rebuilt with a shift kit, and soon to have a trans brake. Also on that Turbo 400 transmission, I am using a Summit Racing nitrous torque converter that is rated to stall between 2800 and 3200. The torque converter also has an anti-ballooning plate. I am using an On3 Performance 7875 turbocharger with a Speed Daddy 44mm wastegate, stock truck exhaust manifolds that kind of merge in together like a piece of shit into the turbo. So all that was pretty much free besides the wastegate and turbo there. The downpipe is a 3.5 inch unit that I made. This flange is actually only 3 inch, but I made the 3.5 go onto it and just filled a little bit of a gap, and it works awesome. I also have a turbo blanket that was mistakenly sent to me by On3, so I got that for free. I have an LS1 intake manifold with a truck throttle body and some eBay fuel rails. These are eBay like aluminum Chinese fuel rails, and then decapped factory truck injectors. I had to modify the fuel rails to make them fit. I kind of just had to make a bracket and then have a spacer under the bracket here to make the fuel rails fit with the truck injectors, because the truck injectors are actually a lot smaller than normal LS1 fuel injectors. A EFI source 3-bar map sensor. To make all this work in the Mustang, I went with a LS1 Camaro style water pump and tensioner. And I also got this low mount custom alternator set up from lssimple.net. This pretty much just deletes the power steering, so you run the alternator pretty much where the power steering pump was. That way it clears the hood and stuff too. Factory rockers, factory push rods, factory head bolts, factory everything really. I used a factory 4L80E 6-liter flywheel here, or flex plate, whatever you want to call it, to mate the Turbo 400 to the 5.3. Rear end in the car is a factory 8.8 4-lug rear end with 373 gears, and the drive shaft is also factory length, all that. I actually did have to get the longer yoke for the drive shaft to make it fit, because the small, like 3-inch yoke or whatever it is, was a little bit too small. So I got like a 6-inch yoke on the end and mated that up with a conversion U-joint I bought at O'Reilly's to the factory 4 drive shaft. As for the fuel system, I obviously said I had the decap truck injectors, and I have an eBay 15-gallon fuel cell that's mounted in the spare tire well, and then the fuel cell feeds into 2 Bosch 044 fuel pumps. They're just an inline unit, and they run up with dash 10 fuel line all the way up to the rail, and then I have an eBay fuel pressure regulator that was like $30, the cheapest one I could find, and that works great too. And then I have a dash 6 return line going back to the fuel cell. I don't even have a fuel filter on it. I just have the sponge in the bottom of the fuel cell, and then I have the screens on the fuel pumps. I personally never have ran a car without a fuel filter, but this one I just said fuck it and just running it, and it works good. And the computer I'm using to control the LS engine, to tell it what to do, is just this little guy right here, which is a micro squirt engine controller. This is the V3 model. It's already set up for LS1 motors. And then I had to wire the harness and do all that, which was like $399, I think. Alright, so now that I have a piece of paper in front of me and kind of wrote down the pricing and everything on all these parts, I can kind of give you guys an estimate of how much money total I have invested into the car, and it's somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000. I don't have like receipts for every little thing I bought, like you know, the U-joints and the oil I bought for the car and the exhaust piping and all that kind of stuff, the, you know, clamps and whatever, all that kind of stuff I don't have like receipts for. So I kind of just threw like a random number out there for miscellaneous, and kind of came up with a number between $5,000 and $6,000. I definitely could have done it a lot cheaper. I could have done it more expensively. I just did it the way I did it, and it works great. So I'm very happy with how the car is and how it turned out and how fast it is going. I did not honestly expect the car to go nearly 9 seconds in the quarter mile with the amount of stuff that I have into it. So the old myth of you can't build a 10-second car for under $10,000 is definitely a joke now, and can definitely be overcome, as I have proven that multiple times on a few different cars. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions on any of the parts that are in the car or how much a certain part costed, please let me know. I don't really want to go over every little freaking part that I bought and the exact amount of money that I paid for everything, just because this video would literally be an hour long if I did that. Also, when I bought the car, I paid like $3,000 for the car, $3,500, something like that, and I pretty much made my money back on the car by selling all the parts that I had into it. It had a 5-liter with a supercharger, and, you know, GT40 heads and intake, and had a good gauge cluster. I sold the seats. I sold the transmission. Was like a built dog box setup. So yeah, I definitely made my money back on the car by selling all the parts that were in the car when I initially bought it. And trust me, I know a lot of you guys are gonna say that you need to run fuel filters and you need to do all this stuff, and I could have built that car cheaper, and I could have built it more expensively, and I could have built it faster. I don't really care. I'm just doing what I'm doing, and you should do what you're doing. I appreciate that feedback and stuff that you guys give me. So that is pretty much just a general overview of the parts and stuff that I have into the Mustang. Hopefully this clears some stuff up for you guys, and you guys can understand what I all have into the car and whatnot. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you do have any other questions on the car or anything like that, leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as best I can. So, thanks for watching.